A job everyone laughed at, but this single dad turned it into his greatest blessing. Some stories don't begin with victory, some begin on the coldest morning of a man's life, when everything seems to fall apart, and the world feels like it's pushing him down one more time. For Daniel Hayes, a single dad raising a 6-year-old girl, that moment came when he was standing outside a mansion gate, holding a newspaper that promised what sounded like a dream. $800,000 driver job. Everyone said it was a scam. Everyone laughed at him for even applying, but Daniel didn't have the luxury to laugh, because he needed any chance he could find to keep his daughter safe, fed, and warm. Before we dive in, if you love emotional stories about kindness, real humanity, and the power of doing good, make sure you subscribe to Kindness Diaries, hit the like button, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support means the world. Daniel's life had changed overnight, but not in the way he ever wanted. 2 years earlier, his wife passed away after a short illness, leaving him alone to raise their daughter, Emily. He worked any job he could, warehouse shifts, deliveries, cleaning jobs, but nothing was steady. Bills piled up. Rent was overdue. And Emily had outgrown her shoes again. He felt like he was trying to hold up the whole world with one hand. One evening, at a diner where he could only afford a cup of soup, he overheard a group of truck drivers laughing at something in the newspaper. Look at this, 800 grand for a driver who writes this stuff, probably some prank. You'd be crazy to show up. Imagine the fool who goes, they'll probably make him mow the lawn for $5. They laughed and tossed the paper aside. Daniel picked it up. The ad was brief. No details. Just a date, a location, and the promise of a salary that could change any struggling father's life. He folded the paper and slipped it into his coat. Daddy, will things get better? Emily asked that night as he tucked her into bed. Daniel hugged her a little tighter. Yes, sweetheart. I'm working on it. And he meant it. Even if the whole world laughed at him. The next morning, he stood at the address printed on the ad, a gate taller than anything he'd ever seen, guarding a massive ivy-covered mansion. Emily clung to his shoulder, wearing her small backpack because he had no one to leave her with. A luxury sedan was parked behind the gate. The engine was running, and beside it stood a confident, well-dressed woman holding car keys in her hand. She looked at Daniel, then at Emily, then at the wrinkled newspaper in his grip. You're here for the job? She asked. Surprised, Daniel swallowed. Yes, ma'am. You brought your daughter? She goes where I go, he said softly. For a long moment, she said nothing. Most employers would have turned him away right then, but instead, she opened the gate and motioned him in. I'm Victoria, she said. And if you're willing to work hard, I'm willing to give you a chance. Daniel couldn't believe it. Still, part of him was scared. People didn't just hand out jobs like this. Certainly not ones that paid like the ad promised. Victoria showed him the car, explained the schedule, and introduced him to the mansion staff. Everything seemed real. And yet Daniel felt like any minute someone would jump out yelling prank. Then Victoria said the numbers out loud. The salary. The benefits. The schedule. Daniel almost dropped to his knees. I don't understand, he whispered. Why pay this much? What's the catch? Victoria looked at him with a softness he didn't expect. My father passed away last year, she said. He was my driver. My protector. My friend. I haven't found anyone I trust enough to replace him. Until today. Me? Daniel asked, stunned. But you don't even know me? No, she said. But I know desperation when I see it. I know honesty when I hear it. And I know you'd give your life to protect your daughter, which means you understand responsibility more than anyone. For the first time in years, Daniel felt something he barely recognized, hope. The first months on the job were peaceful. Daniel drove Victoria to meetings, charity events, and her company headquarters downtown. He learned she was one of the youngest CEOs in the city. She learned he made the best grilled cheese sandwiches and always kept extra snacks in the car for Emily. Soon Victoria began inviting Emily inside the mansion while Daniel worked. One of the housekeepers helped with homework. The chef made her lunch. Emily began smiling more, laughing more. Daniel drove with pride. He finally felt like he could breathe. But the real reason this job became the greatest blessing of his life wasn't the salary. It was what happened one stormy night. A heavy thunderstorm hit the city. Roads flooded. Power lines fell. Daniel was driving Victoria back from a late meeting when they saw a small car broken down under a bridge. A woman stood outside in the rain, holding a baby wrapped in a soaked blanket. Without hesitation, Daniel pulled over. Are you okay? He asked, stepping out into the storm. The woman's eyes filled with tears. My baby, she's freezing. My phone died. I don't know what to do. Victoria immediately opened the back door. Bring her inside. Now. The woman climbed in, shivering. The baby was ice cold and barely moving. Daniel drove faster than he ever had before, straight to the emergency room. The baby survived because Daniel stopped. Because he cared. Because kindness mattered. While the mother cried in relief, Victoria watched Daniel with new eyes. Most people would have kept driving. But Daniel didn't hesitate. She realized then that her father would have liked this man, and she realized something else. The job ad wasn't a mistake. It was meant for Daniel. The next morning, Victoria invited Daniel and Emily into her office. She handed Daniel an envelope. He opened it slowly and nearly fell into the chair. It wasn't just a raise. It wasn't just a contract extension. Victoria had created a trust fund for Emily, enough for her education, enough for her future, enough so Daniel would never have to worry again. You saved a life last night, she said. That deserves more than a thank you. And Emily deserves to grow up without fear. Daniel's voice broke. I don't know what to say. Say you'll keep working for me, Victoria replied gently. Not as my driver, but as part of my family. Daniel nodded, tears streaming down his face. For the first time since losing his wife, he didn't feel alone. From that day on, Daniel's life transformed. Emily grew up surrounded by support, love, and opportunity. Daniel became not just an employee, but a trusted friend, and Victoria gained something money could never buy, a family she never knew she needed. The job everyone laughed at, the job people mocked, became the greatest blessing Daniel had ever known, because kindness has a way of coming back to you, not always immediately,